Welcome to From Beyond with your host, Glenn Boddice. Join me as we explore spirituality, self-help, and channeling spirits. Hello and welcome to From Beyond with your host, Glenn Boddice, spiritual medium. Thank you for tuning in again for another action-packed show this week. As in this week's episode, we're going to be discussing the topic, normal or paranormal. Also in this week's show, we have the channeling, which sees me becoming a vessel for spirit to bring their communications through. And then later on in the show, we have this week's energy forecast reading, which will hopefully help you navigate your way through the course of this week ahead. So then, normal or paranormal? What am I talking about there? Well, basically, I'm talking about what some people would consider normal, like myself being a spiritual medium. Other people would find it fantastical and a bit out there. So I'm talking about strange occurrences that happen on a regular basis. For me, every day is a spiritual adventure, and I look forward to every part and every moment of that day, because usually there's little signs, little things that are occurring in and around the home, the studio, and in the environment wherever I happen to be. There's always something interesting occurring from the world of the unseen, the spiritual world. Now, to me, this is very normal, and I embrace it. I accept it for what it is. I don't have any fear towards it. I have that sort of curiosity, and, I just have that level of excitement and gratitude for having these experiences. Now, whereas most people, it would frighten them. It would put that level of fear into them, and they wouldn't want to go into those environments or indeed experience these encounters ever again. Where myself, I see it as such a blessing that the energies that are around me, spirit energies, have taken that level, that time and appreciation, and made that particular effort to make themselves known to me in that environment. And when you understand how much effort that it takes them in order to do that, and all the variables that have to be met before we in our physical body can encounter these unusual activities around us, then you see the blessing in the situation. You start to show that level of gratitude and appreciate it for what it is. But for me, I find it interesting, even now, after all this time, seeing orbs. Now, many people say, oh, it's just dust. Well, on some occasions, yes, I would agree with you. But on most encounters that I've had, I've seen energy balls, which to me is orbs. And I've seen them in various colours. I've seen them in the most standard colour of white. And how I would describe this with all orbs is that they kind of appear from nowhere, and then they get brighter and brighter and brighter. And then it's as if somebody's put a dimmer switch on them, and they go and they blend into the environment, and then they disappear. It happens very quick. Sometimes you see them a bit like Christmas tree fairy lights, like sparkling, and then they disappear into the atmosphere. But I've seen white orbs, I've seen blue orbs, I've seen a lot of those recently, particularly around people, which I find fascinating. I've also seen gold orbs as well, again just appearing out of nowhere and then disappearing. It happens very subtly, very quick. And so you have to be on the ball. Don't be frightened or intimidated by them. Just witness this beautiful display when it does occur. And those of you that like taking photographs, and if you have that capability of taking a photograph while you're witnessing an orb, then what I would say, in my experience, analyze that photograph and zoom in and zoom into that orb as much as you can. And what you will find, if it's a genuine orb, you will be able to see either a face forming in the center of that orb, you'll start to see features within it, or you will see like a vortex, a pattern, a pattern emitting from like a central fuse, if that makes sense. And you'll see that when you zoom in. Now, from a distance, you won't get that level of clarity. But yeah, certainly by zooming in, you will start to see faces within that orb, which is, again, an absolute amazing thing to witness. So do look out for that if you are a regular viewer of orbs and you're taking photographs of them. Also, something that I experience on a regular basis. Now, it's quite normal for me, so it doesn't bother me. I feel, again, very blessed to have this encounter. So I'm talking about sounds. And we've encountered sounds in our home. As many of you know, I have 2 daughters, and they've heard them as well. And it's interesting that we lost our cat probably about sort of 6 years ago now. And even though we don't have any pets at all in the home, we can still hear our cat meowing. We still encounter hearing the sound that she used to make when she wanted to come into a room, and she'd scratch on the door and she'd make this particular sound. And we've all heard it. And sometimes she would cry like a baby if you weren't listening to her and allowing her to come into her room. So obviously our cat was a female cat. And so we've all encountered that in my household. Also, I've heard in particular, when I've just been in the house on my own, my children haven't been with me overnight, and I've just heard someone walking up and down the landing towards my bedroom. Now, this is quite unnerving, as you can imagine, especially when you think, hang on a minute, you hear the sound, you think, well, the door's locked, there's no windows open, and then you realise, oh, okay, it's spirit. So what I've done when I've heard it and it's bothered me, it's interrupted my sleeping pattern, I've called out in my mind, said, excuse me, thank you for coming. I really do appreciate it, but I'm trying to rest. I'm trying to sleep. My bedroom is my boundary. You don't come in here. And so I would appreciate it if you respected my privacy and my rest. And the minute I put that out there, I said, I will help you, I will communicate with you, but just not at this moment in time. Come and visit me when I'm not sleeping. And at that moment, the footsteps stopped at the foot of my door, and they respected those boundaries. So that was fascinating hearing that as well. So yeah, I've also heard my name being called. And many of you listening may have this experience where it can normally happen when you're just about to drop off to sleep, and you're not quite asleep, you're not fully awake, you're in that in-between stage, and you'll hear your name being said to you, shouted almost. You know, for me, it's obviously Glenn, and I'll hear it like that, almost like it's in my ear. And then other occasions I've heard it in a morning where I'm not fully asleep, but I'm not fully awake. Again, in that no man's land sort of state of being. And I'll hear my name being mentioned. And sometimes it can snap you out of that sort of relaxation state. And then when you come to, you think, well, did I imagine that? No, I definitely heard it. So I get that quite a lot. And again, as long as it's not causing me any disturbance, I don't mind it at all. If it is disturbing me or overstepping the boundaries, then this is where I call out and I stipulate those boundaries again to those individuals wanting to come through. Also, energy shifts within the home, within the environment. I've noticed a lot of these happening. And sometimes in various areas of the house or the studio, I can just pick up where there's a spirit visitor coming in. And sometimes it can feel very intensive energy, and it can come with a temperature change to the point where you move into that area and all of a sudden you either feel absolutely roasting hot and you move away from that spot and you're back to normal body temperature, or it can have the opposite effect. You can walk into that area and feel absolutely freezing cold, and you step out of that area and you're back to normal body temperature as well. So I've experienced that a lot. Also, sometimes when energy is in a building or various areas of the building, it can have a tendency to change your mood or have an impact on your mood, and, causing mood swings and maybe even feeling drained in an area. So I've experienced that quite a few times. And again, when you're aware of yourself and you honor yourself and you check in with yourself on a daily basis, you get to learn that actually this is not me. This is not my energy. It's not my vibration. So therefore, there must be either a spirit visitor or a portal or something happening energetically. It could be an attachment to either a previous friendship or somebody you know. So it's worth investigating and checking in with yourself on a regular basis just to understand what is really going on. Also, some of these energies can actually make you feel hyperactive. So you could be talking really quick, you could be moving really quick, and you move out of that area and you're back to normal again. So it's worth, I would say, checking in with yourself on a regular basis. Then you'll know that it's definitely not you, it's not your emotions, not your physicality, it's actually energy in and around the environment you're located in. But also, as you know, I have a lot of spirit visitors. And again, it doesn't bother me. I feel quite privileged, quite blessed that they make that effort and they take that opportunity to come in. Again, within reason. I don't want to be disturbed at 2, 3 a.m. in the morning whilst I'm getting my rest. Obviously, like everybody else, we have to work, we have responsibilities. So, as long as they're respecting my rest so that I can fulfill the work and the tasks that I do. But other than that, I don't mind spirit visitors coming in. And they do come in, I would say, at random times when I'm not expecting it. So in the studio, when I've had sessions, in fact, I had a session last weekend in the studio. And in between doing the studio work, obviously you have conversations, with the clients, with the guests there. And this particular weekend that's just gone, I was talking to my friend, and the next minute I was aware of an orb building up at the side of her. And then that orb turned into a face. It was like a side profile. I don't know if you remember those clowns from the 1980s. Was it like a pirouette clown or something? They were white and black, and they had like a black sort of skull cap on, and they had a white face with like black eye makeup and black lips there and a little black spot on the nose. Well, anyway, the reason why I say this is I saw a side profile image of a face build up on the wall at the side of the studio guest, my friend there that was there, and it built up very strong, and then it blended back into the atmosphere. So the energy changed in the studio. So I connected in with that energy, and it turned out that I had to give a bit of a small private reading to my friend and my client there. And so I was doing this in the studio, and upon doing this, the next minute, the way when I use my third eye, and when I go into giving a reading, what a lot of people will notice is that I tend to stare to the left of me. I'll stare to the left of me, and that helps me focus. Anyway, I was doing that, and I was aware as I was doing that, I saw a Victorian lady with a long Victorian dress. I just saw the edge of the dress there move across the room. Very quick. I managed to recall that information. Just straight after I saw it, I got this lady's name. And so I gave that to my friend there. She did a bit of research while she was doing it, and she found that there was a lady of that description. I gave her more details on why she came in for her and the information. And so that was fantastic. I've also seen, obviously, animals as well. On the same night, I saw a grey cat that ran under the chair of my friend and client there. And again, it came from out of thin air, and it went over to her under a chair, and then it just disappeared there. But I've seen many animals in and around my home and the studio area as well. And again, that's a blessing to see, particularly when you haven't got any pets of your own. And all of a sudden you start to see a black dog walking towards you. And you're like, okay, well, it's not my dog, obviously. I've seen many cats as well. I've seen Cocker Spaniels. I've seen, what else? All different manner of dogs, different varieties of dogs in my home, as well as when I'm doing readings as well. What I do find sometimes when I'm working online and I'm connecting with a loved one or somebody connected to the client there, I start to see them in the room that I'm giving the reading, and they'll walk by me, and I'll just capture their essence. I'll see them visually and also in my mind's eye there. And upon describing that to the client online, they can associate with that information that's coming through. So I feel very blessed. It's very normal for me to go through that, but I don't take it for granted. I feel very blessed to be able to do that. But also objects moving as well. You know, to me, again, it's very normal, but I don't take it for granted. I feel very blessed and grateful. I've mentioned on other episodes about things moving, such as shoelaces moving in the home and spelling out words. And I have a little spirit boy who you've probably heard in the channeling called Tom. And he comes through and he likes to cause a little bit of fun and joviality by leaving some profanities in the form of letters using shoelaces. And he's done that several occasions. He hasn't done it for a while now, a couple of years. But when he does do it, you know, it always brings a smile to my face. And I feel very blessed and grateful. In fact, I can feel his energy at the side of me now as I'm recording this information to you. So he doesn't mind me sharing this. So this will probably be an indication to me that he's going to do it again at some point soon. But also something else that's happened recently, again with objects moving, is I have wires such as charging cables for phones. As most people do, I also have a lot of studio equipment wires, microphone cables, headphone cables. And what happened recently is, well, first of all, let me scroll back. Many of you may know that my dad is in spirit. He passed away probably around 9 years ago now. And he always leaves me some signs to let me know he's around. And I feel so very, very loved and grateful that he makes this effort and takes this opportunity to do this. Now, what is interesting about these signs that he leaves me, my dad has a headstone. He is buried, okay? So his headstone is in the shape of a heart, okay? Now, my dad had musical connections. He was a conductor, music teacher, and also a player in a brass band. And so on his headstone, he has a treble clef, and he has musical notations on his headstone, along with inscription there. So whenever my dad lets me know he's around, he'll either show me the form or the symbol of a heart using charging cables or any wiring and that. And what is significant between my dad and wiring and cables is that my dad used to be an electrician in the colliery, in the pit. And so there's another link and a bit of evidence with that. And so my dad leaves these heart shapes, or he leaves a treble clef, which is the symbol that you will see at a start of a piece of musical manuscript, that unusual swirly shape that goes up and then comes down. That is a treble clef. And so it's quite complex to actually draw. So imagine the effort that it must take to manipulate wires and cables so that it resembles the treble clef. But obviously, being a musician myself as well, I can recognize that symbol straight away. So anyway, my dad does this, and he's done it for a few years now. And again, I feel very blessed and grateful that he takes the time to do that. But what is very interesting, over last weekend, I went over to see my dad's grave. I hadn't been for a while. And I always have a little bit of a chat, as most people do, to their relatives that are in, that are passed away and that are buried there. And I do this via my mind, a bit like my mediumship. And so I'm sending all this love and gratitude and blessings and asking him how he's doing and all of this sort of thing, as most people do. And anyway, I always feel that level of love and expansion, that unconditional love hitting my heart chakra whenever I go up to my dad's graveside. And it's like a love like no other, like I've never experienced anywhere else in my entire life. It's such a blissful experience that it almost brings you to tears because it's so beautiful, it's so peaceful, it's so loving. So I experienced that. Anyway, the day after, this is when I was in the studio where all of these paranormal things were occurring, like I've just described to you. Anyway, after the studio session, I finished chatting to my friend. I gave her that little reading as I was describing to you there. And I turned around my chair in the studio and I looked down on the floor where I have some headphone cables that are trailing on the floor. Now, I hadn't used them, I hadn't moved them or anything like that. So as I turned around, I looked round, I'd got the symbol of a treble clef in the cabling as it was laying on the floor. Now, we was aware there was a lot of spirit communication and activity in that room. My back was turned as I was giving this information to my friend there as well. And what makes this more interesting, and again, another bit of evidence, the fact that it was my dad, is obviously it was the day after I went to see his gravestone. And also while I was giving information to my friend there, I felt like I had a corset on me. Now, this is not something I wear, obviously, but it was the Victorian lady that was coming through who I was describing to you earlier. And I felt this compression around my rib cage. And I almost felt like I had breasts all of a sudden. Now, I know that sounds a little bit crazy, but those of you that are mediums and are sensitive will understand that when a spirit comes in, you get to feel or enhance or feel their sort of form and figure around you. And that's what I was feeling there, that sensation. But what is interesting, another name for a corset is a liberty bodice, which is obviously my surname, Boddice, my dad's surname, Boddice, obviously. And after I delivered that message, this is where I turned my chair around in the studio and I looked on the floor, and that's when I saw that treble clef lying on the floor there in the wiring. So to me, that was another form of evidence that it was my dad there. We've got the gravestone, we've got the symbolisms that connected to his gravestone, and then we've got the name and a double link with the name. So the message was for my friend there, but also was for me as well. And so I find that incredible, and I'm still pinching myself for that a week later since that occurred. So I feel very blessed for that encounter. So yeah, objects move around in the home. Again, it's very natural, very normal, nothing to be intimidated or frightened by. I just felt really blessed to do that. But also, with all this occurring, be vigilant, be tolerant of it, question what's happening, be open-minded. And if it's bothering you in any way, then this is where, after all, it's your space, it's your home, your environment. Even if you're at work and you're not comfortable with it, then set that intention, say it out loud, think it out loud. And as long as you're using that level of respect, they will respect you equally. And so they will stop doing that if it causes you any upset or harm. But for me, I find it a blessing, as I keep saying. So I'm very grateful. My only stipulation is obviously private time, your bedroom area there, and, sleeping time as well. And as long as they're understanding of that, then I'm happy. But yeah, so always show that level of respect, set those boundaries. And what I would say is something that I do is I make sure that my home is cleansed energetically on a regular basis. on previous episodes, you will have heard me share some of the techniques that I employ in order to do that, to keep the environment cleansed and healed. And the reason why I do that is sometimes you feel like a stagnant energy in your home, and you'll feel like the walls are closing in on you, and you'll feel like you're in a pressure cooker. You just feel like it just feels icky, for me anyway. And when it gets to that level, obviously, if I haven't been cleansing, healing, sound healing or whatever, then that is telling me, come on, you need to cleanse the home, you need to sage, you need to Palo Santo, you need to do some shamanic drum healing or vocal toning there, just to shift that energy on. Also, obviously, opening the windows in the home, that will also bring that fresh air, obviously physically, but also energetically, it will change that environment and that space, making it feel a lot bigger and a more sort of comfortable to be in. But so moving that stagnant energy on, and then what you will find is you'll get new encounters coming in your home, new different individuals, different emotions, different energies. Obviously, if you've set those boundaries to have those experiences, then spirit will honor that and they will come in. They won't come in sort of without your permission. You may get random visitors, but if you don't like it, then say it and they will back off so that you feel comfortable in your own environment. So I feel, to me, it feels very normal having all of these experiences. Like I say, to some people, it could be quite frightening, intimidating. And I would say to those people, they're only feeling that level of fear because they don't have a level of understanding and respect for what's actually occurring. And it's only when you do that work and you put that time in and you educate yourself with these things that it becomes very normal. You feel very comfortable around these occurrences. And as you realize the amount of effort that has taken place to enable you to witness these things. Now, many years ago, I was in that category where I didn't want to see anything. I was afraid of hearing it or something touching me that wasn't there, that I couldn't see physically. So I know exactly how that feels. And it was only upon obviously expanding, putting that time in, doing the research, listening, trusting, building that connection up with my spiritual team in the world of spirit that I began to accept it and appreciate it and understand the mechanics behind all of those occurrences. And with doing that, this is where it feels very natural, very normal to me, and I'm very acceptant of it. But sometimes, it's nice, if you're having, say, a tough time in your life and you're trying to work a lot of situations out in your head and you're struggling to connect all of the dots, so to speak, with a scenario that's happening in your life. The reason why I say this is that spirit are always around you and they will come into your environment in order to shift your vibration, to uplift you, to help you, to give you that guidance, to move you out of that perpetual cycle of overthinking and to move you back into your emotions, into the wisdom of your heart, which is where you get all of your divinely inspired answers. And so your guides will draw in. If you're feeling a little bit under the weather or a little, like I say, a little bit confused with everything that's occurring in your life, so just be aware of the vibration of them changing in and around your physical body. You may feel a chill or a tingle on your physical skin or the back of your neck. You may feel a temperature change. And just watch what occurs after that. You may suddenly see an image in your mind. You may actually hear a song playing in your mind. And that will be the answer that you need in order to help you through that situation. And again, it's been influenced by your spirit guides, your loved ones, your friends and family in the world of spirit. So whenever you are in that situation, just watch out for that tingling feeling, maybe the temperature in and around your body, and then just observe what thoughts, what songs are passing in your head, any significant catchphrases, or any individual. You may see an image of somebody that's very dear to you in the world of spirit. Again, that will be them bringing their beautiful energy and their influence to help you through that situation, to connect you back in with your essence, your heart chakra, which is where you'll connect with the truth of your situation, and this is where you're going to get your answers. So I just thought I'd share that with you at the end there. Again, just to bring in that love, that healing, and so that you have that level of respect for the process. So again, it's very normal for me. I'm very grateful, and I hope you found this little talk very interesting. Well, now we're moving on to the next section of the show, which is this week's channeling from the world of spirit, which sees me becoming a vessel for spirit to bring their communications through. And to enable me to do that, it is very much a lifestyle choice where I have to make sure that as a physical being, I'm looking after my physical body by exercise, diet, also the thoughts that I think, the information that I decide to hold on to, the emotions that I allow to pass through and maybe hold on to, all of these variables, as long also meditating on a regular basis, listening to music, all of these contribute to enable me to actually channel and obviously building up that trust bond relationship with the communicators that do come through. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's channeling from the world of spirit.
Oh, what a rather peculiar feeling it is to come through today, but a delight nonetheless. We feel very humbled that you allow us to come through and have these conversations with you. Today we'd like to talk about numerous subjects, one of them being looking after yourself, looking after your mind. There's a lot of external influences around you at this precise moment in time, the time that you are listening and observing this transmission. And there's lots of outside influences that wish to take a strong hold of your conscious belief systems in order to control you, in order to take you down a path that is not necessarily in alignment with your higher self and your soul path. So what we say to you is that there's a lot of you that just go along with the general consensus of the world and the narrative of what's unfolding. And we say to you that it is in your entire benefit by questioning what you're seeing and collaborating with your heart in order to understand and attain if that is the truth of the situation. When these two elements do not align, you will feel that instant disharmony within your heart, within your soul. And obviously, when this is the case, this is an untruth. So you have every right to follow that untruth, and just as well as you have every right to go against it and follow your better judgment. The choice, however, is always yours. But what we want to say to you today is simply that in order to, we're making a few adjustments, in order for you to understand yourself on a deeper level, we would certainly advise that you make this commitment to yourself, to your higher self, and to allow yourself to understand who you are as an individual. There'll be parts of you that will actually shock you when you allow yourself to experience and observe the truth of who you truly are. You will be truly amazed by your capabilities, by your level of intellect, by your natural state of awareness. What you will find particularly interesting is that every single one of you that are listening to this, you have access to the living library at any one given moment in time. Should you choose to make that choice, what we're referring to here is you can connect to the greater consciousness. And so if you're after any particular answer or wisdom, or if you would like to obtain influence from some of the great creators that have bestowed your planet, shall we say, such as artists, writers, great thinkers, musicians, presenters, actors, whatever it may be. If you're wanting to channel the vibration in which they emitted, then every single one of you has that ability to do so. And with setting the purest of intentions and aligning frequencies, you can achieve this wonderful transmission of energy. And those vibrations of those individuals that have made their transition into the world of light will feel only too proud and privileged to share their vibration with you and to once more embrace their vibration into your dimension upon the earth plane. So it is a wonderful time for you to have this knowledge and have this free will to give you that permission in order for you to connect with these vibrations of these individuals. However, it would certainly encourage you, before doing any of that you understand the truth of who you are, as so many that went before you came to that realization, and they accepted their brilliance, they accepted the information that we're channeling through them, because of course when you're some of the great thinkers, some of the great inventors, some of the great artists that has blessed your planet Earth over the many, many centuries, they will have been doing the exact same thing. They reached a point within their personal and mental and emotional life where they had a true understanding of who they are. And there was an element of letting go to that, an element of not wanting to control, an element of simply allowing and making space for this energy to, shall we say, channel through them in order to bring the message and the art and the beautiful work through them as a vessel. So in order to obtain all of that, our point being today is you have to have a level of understanding of who you truly are. Like we said earlier, there will be facets of you that will seem rather peculiar to you because you haven't given them your time or attention prior to doing this form of acceptance. What we would say, in order for you to accept the truth of who you are, is to embrace the silence, sitting in the moments of silence, whether this is in your home environment, whether it is ideally in a natural setting such as woodland or the great outdoors, or anywhere where there's water. That will encourage you to understand who you are. And you just have to sit and be with no expectation whatsoever. You have to clear the mind. You have to get into, shall we say, almost like a meditation state where you're just being in that moment and you're observing, you're watching all of the thoughts come and go and filter through your mind and feeling those different vibrational changes in your physical, emotional, and energetic body occur. Just being in that space, in that silence, with no expectation whatsoever, will allow you to be this beautiful vessel so that you can tap into your higher self-consciousness and allow that to filter through you more strongly than it perhaps has done in the past. And this occurs simply because you're making that time, you're making that space for this alignment, and also you're recognizing some of the untruths that your subconscious mind has chosen to believe. Some of these energies will play out in front of you in your mind and in your emotional state, and it will cause a part of you to be in disalignment, disharmony. Obviously, when you practice this art of sitting in the silence, you'll recognize that straight away, and you'll allow that part of your experience to be let go of, because it is not the truth of who you are. So we hope that gives you some sort of guidance so that you can experience the brilliance of who you truly are. We're going to pass you over now to another communicator that wishes to have a few words with you. We thank you so kindly for listening, and we look forward to communicating with you in the near future.
I hope you don't mind me coming through again. I'm a regular, as you know, those of you who listen to it a lot. Well, I've come through just to tell you that everybody that's listening, there's going to be a lot of big changes coming in around you, in your earth plane environment. And my message that I've been told to say to you today is to not get alarmed by it. Don't get suckered into it, because a lot of it is trickery. A lot of it is not true or real. So I've come to tell you not to worry and to encourage you, like the previous communicator said, is your key in order to stay calm and relaxed and live the life and thrive in that vibration, is to again know who you are as a person, not what somebody else is trying to make you be, or not what somebody else is trying to force you into think or feel different things. And so by you being living in your, shall we say, your own ignorance to their energy, if that's the right term, then it will keep you in this higher state of consciousness, which will allow you to live your bliss and to create your life as you so wish it to be. There's going to be a lot of change in the earth and a lot of frustration and confusion. But those of you that take this time out and learn to appreciate who you are as an individual, this is the key to you unlocking the door to your heaven on earth, as we've previously in other communications alluded to with you. So it's important now that regardless of what's happening around you, whether it's with your friends, your family, whether it's the community, that you do take this time out for you to get to know you. There'll be part of you, or most of you, that will feel a little bit lonely going through this process. But don't worry, because we're always around you, and we hope that gives you a level of comfort with us saying that. But also, the reason why is because you have been, those of you that choose to do this, you have been elected to be a natural healer and a transmitter of love, healing and light. So when you get clear, that love, healing and light will come through you, and it will influence others in a positive, loving, high vibrational level. And at that point, at that level, these individuals will flock to you, because they will find your energy and your natural wisdom that you've obtained by sitting in the silence and understanding who you are. They'll find it amazing. They really will. And we don't want to blow your trumpet by saying this, but it's because that you've elected to put that time in where others didn't want to. And when they see how well you're doing and how fantastic you feel, then it will encourage them to do the same. Because if you think about it, and we're not judging people, there's been this perception that you have to follow a lot of rules and do this and do that. And a lot of people have only seen that as their option in which to emulate and live their lives by these certain rules and agendas. But in actual fact, when they see that no, that there's other options, and they can thrive with their lives instead of just merely surviving and doing what's necessary, they'll see other people that vibrate higher thriving, and they will see that as an option. Oh, I'd like to be like that. They will notice that contrast, and it's that noticing of the contrast that is where the shift and change in frequencies occur, and that's where they will make a more conscious, soul-based decision in which pathway they want to walk in their life. So, the reason I've come through is just to encourage you that by you taking the time out and understanding who you are, it's going to have such a beautiful knock-on effect, not only to you and your close friends, but worldwide. It's the vibration, the energy that you emit will heal all that wish to see. So thank you. I'm going to go now, because I've been told there's one more thing that's coming through, and it's just a form of sound healing toning for you to get you prepared for this new transition. Thank you, love you lots, and I'll come through soon. Bye.
What an incredible transmission there from the world of spirit. Some interesting wisdom that was shared, looking after ourselves and also not allowing ourselves to be influenced by outside influencers and just staying in control of who we are as individuals. Also listening to our inner truth and using that as the key in order to move forward. Very interesting about connecting with any inspiration, any help that we need from the universe. And of course, it was interesting to hear about all the changes that are coming in there as well. And the healing at the end there was so magnifying, made me feel fuzzy and very high vibrational. So next, we're going to move on to the next segment of the show, which is this week's energy forecast reading. Hello, my name is Glenn Boddice and I'm a spiritual medium, and welcome to this week's energy forecast reading for the week commencing Monday the 4th of September 2023. Now, those of you that have watched me work before will know that I consult the wisdom of my spirit guides and helpers and also look into the energy of the angel tarot card. So what I'm about to do is just shuffle the pack and allow a card to come out for this week's energy forecast reading. So this is your card for this week's energy forecast reading. I'm now going to link into the vibration of that card. So basically this week I feel as though change is inevitable. Change is here, right now. And it all stems with you. You're going to have a change of heart. What you once believed in the past, you're now going to reconsider your belief system and actually take back some of those words and actually change your ways. And I feel your ways are, you're going to be more compassionate with people. You're going to have more of a listening ear with people. People in the past that you didn't necessarily give the time of day to. Now you're in a position where you can actually empathize a lot more and you can see their point of view from a different angle there. And with doing that, it's going to make you more of a well-rounded individual. And also these people that you are communicating with will naturally gravitate towards you. And they'll feel that magnetic draw towards you. I feel this is because you've had a heightening of your vibration and also because you are a light worker. And so you're here to fulfill a role within your life's purpose. And so these people will make their way to you. Also, don't forget about yourself this week. It's so easy to get involved with other people's activities. However, you will need to take time out for you And this can come in many forms, whatever you enjoy doing, whatever brings you joy in your heart and happiness and stillness in your mind. These are the activities that you need to be doing this week to ensure that you get your healing and you get that divine clarity in your mind and in your heart there as well. You will feel the urge to do more physical exercise this week, and this can come in many forms. It could be simply the fact that you're finding yourself walking a little bit more rather than taking the car or using public transport. It could even mean the fact that you're more conscious of your physical health and you're paying attention to what you're eating and you're monitoring the foods and the sugar levels that you have. With this being said, you will notice a dramatic difference in your life. You'll have more energy, you'll have more clarity in your mind, and also you'll just be vibrating differently, like we said earlier, to the point where people will be attracted to you by your high vibrational way of being. Please watch out also for family members this week. And what I mean by this, there will be family members that aren't necessarily in a good place at this moment in time. And it's about you having that level of compassion, having that listening ear, and also not condemning or judging them for whatever it is they're going through. Just be there for them and let them know this. Can you also watch out for visions this week? You're going to be given ideas from the world of spirit. Now, these visions are to encourage you in order to step outside of your comfort zone. There's many things that you want to do in your life, and however you've been placing them on the shelf. I feel as though these visions are to encourage you to come on now. It's time for you, and it's time to have that bravery and to move forward. We're doing what brings you joy and what you came here to do on your life's purpose. Don't worry about the finances. Don't worry about the connections that you need to make in order to make this work. All of that will be provided to you. Once you make that simple decision and say yes to life, life will start and say yes to you in many miraculous ways. So let's turn the card over for you. So at the top of the card, it says 7 of Michael. So I'd like to give you the angel number of number 7 to go and research, as I feel that this will give you additional support and clarity for this week. I also feel that the number 7 is a very positive number, but also I'm being reminded that the actual shape of the number 7 looks like a sickle or a scythe. And with this being said, it's encouraging you to cut away the wheat from the chaff. So in other words, things that no longer serve you in your life, you're going to have to let go of in order for this beautiful energy and opportunities to come your way. Michael represents Archangel Michael, which again, he's predominantly known for cutting cords, negative cords of attachment, and removing them in and away from you. So this week we'll see you doing that in order for you to shine and flow. And also I'm being encouraged to tell you, don't judge yourself and don't judge others. Simply be in alignment with the truth of who you are, be present, and everything will be revealed to you this week. The inscription at the bottom reads, "There is a better course of action available to you. Working alone may not be the best answer. Review all the details." So I feel as though this is you stepping outside of your own comfort zone this week. And it's also actually just going with the flow. Stop trying to plan and organize everything. Just going with the flow will enable the universe to bring in these beautiful blessings, these connections, these people, and opportunities towards you. So just have that faith and have that patience. And also just step outside of the way. Everything doesn't have to be on a spreadsheet, and you don't have to tick all the boxes in order to achieve this, whatever it is you're wanting to achieve. You need to just simply relax into life and watch life bring itself to you. So in the artwork of this card, we've got the color of blue around the edge, which would indicate communication is key this week. Now, communication is a two-way system, so it's about listening and also sharing. I feel as though this week is more about listening for you there, and also listening to other people's emotions. Some of their emotions may be directed towards you and the way that you've acted and their perception of that. Instead of taking offense or reacting to what they're saying to you. Just listen, don't have any attachment to it. And with listening, it allows those parties to heal and cleanse and allowing their vibration to raise. That's what I feel as though is needed. Also, looking into the artwork of this card, we've got a beautiful scene with Archangel Michael. As you can see, he's raising up there. He's got his wings in flight mode. So this would indicate raising your vibration this week. It would also indicate that level of protection there as well. And so whatever it is you're going through the course of your week, know that the best is yet to come and the best outcome is on its way to you. So don't perceive the negative as negative. In other words, see it as an opportunity to rise and shine. And this is why this level of contrast has come into your life, so that these cords can be detached, should I say, and new opportunities can flow to you a lot easier there. There's a gentleman there, masculine energy, wearing a backpack there. This would talk about you taking more of a leadership role in your life, and having that level of adventure within your heart, within your soul, not needing to know all the answers, just being in that space, in that place, and being ready and willing to move when you feel the inclination to do so. There's also 2 separate pathways, and so that would indicate 2 decisions that you have to make, and to trust your intuition with making that right choice that resonates with you and aligns with you. There's a forest area as well, which would indicate peacefulness. It would indicate cleansing, healing, and also calmness there as well. And also connecting with nature and understanding your own inner nature this week, as this will be the key to unlock those beautiful opportunities that we speak of. There's lots of sunlight shining through the trees, shining in the forest area there. So I feel that indicates new levels and new opportunities arising for you this week. So that's what I picked up for you this week. I hope that resonates with you. Thank you for hearting, liking, commenting, and sharing. If you've enjoyed what you've seen on here and you would like to help me in the work that I do, I have got a Buy Me a Coffee link above this video, which is a virtual tip jar. So if you'd like to contribute, all of your contributions will be used in accordance to help me carry on doing the work that helps as many people spiritually grow as possible. If you're wanting a one-to-one private reading, please contact me at www.glenboddicespiritualmedium.com, or also find me on Facebook, Glenn Boddice Spiritual Medium. I look forward to you join me every Monday at 4 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time on Pulse Talk Radio with my radio show From Beyond with Glenn Boddice, talking about all things spiritual, paranormal, and self-help. Have a great week. Bye for now.
Wow, it sounds like we're all set for an incredible week. Sounds like we've got lots of learning and development to do as individuals to enable ourselves to expand and grow on a higher level of consciousness there. Lots of lessons by the sounds of it coming in for us all this week. So I hope you've enjoyed the show, and thank you once again for tuning in. I really appreciate your energy, your vibrations. I hope that you could take at least something from the show into your daily life there, and whatever it is that may help you, I just hope it does that anyway. I'd like to extend the invitation if you have any show suggestions, any ideas, or even if you've got any stories you'd like to share with the listeners about anything paranormal, self-help, spiritual, anything that you've gone through that you feel comfortable in sharing. And if you want to contact me at www.glenboddicespiritualmedium.com, or my email address glennboddice@live.co.uk. And if you'd be happy for me to share your story by reading it out on the show, I would love that. And I'd like that interaction, and any feedback that you would suggest for the show would be greatly appreciated. So I want to wish you a wonderful week ahead. Whatever it is you decide to do it with love, do it with light, and make sure that it's making your heart happy and you smiling from inside and out. So look forward to your company next Monday at 4 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time on www.pulsetalkradio.com with this very show From Beyond with Glenn Boddice. Take care, everybody. God bless. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to From Beyond. For more information about what products and services Glenn provides,
go to Glenn Boddice Spiritual Medium